Welcome in everybody to Tackle Talk Thursday. Today we're going to cover crankbait rods. Now, when I'm talking about crankbait rods, I really believe you should have at least 2 crankbait rods. I have 2. I wish I had more, but we all wish we had more rods. Now, I have one crankbait rod for my square bills, and occasionally, like maybe a 6-foot diver around docks. And then I have a medium to deep cranking rod also. The differences are quite a lot. This is my square bill rod. It is a short 6'6", very lightweight rod. It's a medium power, moderate action. And moderate action gives you a good soft rod, good soft tip. A lot of tip too, so that you can fight the fish. It's good for casting because it flings the lure out there good. It's also good for fighting the fish because you're not going to rip the hooks out the fish's mouth. A lot of times with square bills, it's not long cast, it's real up and close, and you want a good flexible rod for that. I have had a medium light power with a fast tip before in the past, and that worked out pretty good. But if you can't find one like that, get a moderate power or moderate action, medium power. That works good too. I have a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel with 12-pound fluorocarbon. I use the fluorocarbon because it sinks, so I'm not getting a bow in my line. Also, fluorocarbon really doesn't have much stretch, but it has a little bit. And it has more than braid. You don't want to have, with treble hooks, you don't want to rip the hooks out the fish's mouth. I never use braid on a crankbait. I don't do it because it's just not enough stretch for as far as I'm concerned. And I go with a slow gear ratio reel because I don't want to overwork the lure. If you have a faster reel, you're going to tend to reel it too fast, and then the lure is going to start traveling to the side more often or darting too much, which I guess sometimes could be erratic and cause more bites. I guess if you want a faster reel, get one. I prefer the slower reel. Now, this next rod. It is a danger to local air traffic. It is a 7.6. It is made by, we all know this person, he loves crankbaits. It is a glass and graphite composite rod. It has a combination of both graphite and fiberglass. It is a medium heavy power. Now I know, I've done said it, you want a lighter rod to be able to fight the fish. Now everybody's like, hold on a minute, you got a flipping stick here, you got a broomstick for crankbait. No. A fiberglass rod is very, very, very flexible. So when you combine glass with the graphite, medium heavy is really not all that heavy. It is a very flexible rod, very bendable. This rod, at first I didn't like it, but boy, I grew to love this rod. When you throw in Series 5, that's where it really starts to shine. Series 5, Series 6, anything 15-foot diver or deeper, this rod will hum it way out there. It's balanced perfectly to where you can sit there and crank that lure all day long and it doesn't wear you out. It loads up really good when a fish bites. So by the time you realize you got a fish on, he's already hooked. The rod's already loaded up and he's already hooked. I pair it with again, a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel. I want a slow reel, not only to not overwork the lure, but when you're deep cranking, you want basically a winch. The lower that gear ratio, the easier it is for me to turn it and crank that lure through. Now, I do prefer a wide spool reel when I'm fishing with this line or with this rod. Speaking of line, it's 12-pound test fluorocarbon also. For the same reasons, I don't like the mono is going to float and cause a bow in the line. The fluorocarbon is more of a direct connection to the line. Now, With a wide spool reel, the benefits of that is, with this setup, you can hum this crankbait way out there. And when you have a narrow spool reel, you're gonna go halfway down through the spool. And what happens with that is, when you start reeling and that line is halfway down, as it puts more and more line on there, that crankbait's going faster and faster. Because as the spool gets bigger, it's taking up more line. That's why I like to go with a wide spool reel. You can see right here, I'm gonna play a little clip where I was casting these things out, and you can see how much come off of this reel with only 12-pound test. So you can imagine what a narrow spool does. Look at that. Look how much is going out that spool. Now that was to the top. Now, as you see there, if I had a narrow spool reel, I'd be more than halfway down in it. So that's why I suggest you get a good wide spool reel, good heavy duty reel too. This is a super duty reel and very, very heavy duty. Having that proper rod for deep cranking, it won't wear you out as much. Because I know a lot of people are like, man, I'm not cranking that thing all day long. It feels like I got a fish on all day long. Having the proper equipment, it won't wear you out as bad. And you'll continue to do it, and then you'll start catching fish and you'll love it. So, hope these little tips help you guys out. When you're looking for a crankbait setup, y'all please like and subscribe, comment, share it with your friends, check out some of my old videos. Till next time, y'all be careful and have fun.